Thanks, Clive. Coming up on BBC London. Could it be the end of the road for vehicles on Oxford Street? Londoners are asked to have their say on revamping the area.
If it stops the bikes going up and down as fast as they do, I think it's a bonus.
It would just make it so much easier for shopping in general.
Khan is just shutting down London. He doesn't want vehicles, he doesn't even want taxis driving in London. It's a nightmare.
Also coming up this evening, the incredible surgery that's allowed this mum to hear her son after losing most of her hearing during pregnancy. Plus,
within the past hour, the Muslim holy month of Ramadan has officially begun. I'll tell you everything you need to know and what to expect in the 4 weeks ahead.
And star of the 80s and still touring today, we'll hear how Tony Hadley's reworking his big hits and heading for the Royal Albert Hall. Welcome to the programme with me, Alison Earle. First tonight, it's one of the capital's top destinations, once pulling in up to 200 million people a year. Well, there's been lots of talk about pedestrianising Oxford Street, Europe's busiest shopping district. Well, now a consultation has been launched asking the public for their views. It's the Mayor's latest attempt to revive the street and boost visitor numbers. But some aren't happy, as our correspondent Tom Edwards reports.
Oxford Street is the busiest shopping street in Europe, but it has seen better days. It suffers from pollution and traffic collisions. Plans to remove vehicles have been tried for over a decade. Now the proposals to pedestrianise the area are back.
Khan is just shutting down London. He doesn't want vehicles, he doesn't even want taxis driving in London. It's a nightmare.
If it stops the bikes going up and down as fast as they do, I think it's a bonus.
I think it would just make it so much easier for shopping in general, especially for young mums like me with a pram. Like, I don't have to wait for signals, I can just do my thing.
Yeah, you can't get rid of all the access. So I think maybe keep it there as it is.
It's sometimes difficult to cross the street. I think it would be a great idea.
Olaf is blind. He wants the buses to stay.
If it's pedestrianised, there is road, which then becomes pavement. There are no buses, no transport, no bus stops. And I think my anxiety level would be high enough that I just go to my local shop.
The Mayor wants to create what's called a development corporation, giving it and not councils planning control. This is what the Mayor previously proposed in 2017, but local opposition and the then Tory council killed it. The big question, what happens to all the buses?
We can work out where the buses are going to go. We can work out drop-off points for black taxis. We can work out other ways for cyclists to get from A to B. We want this to be a street that's regenerated.
Have the councils failed then, clearly?
Well, history tells us that the councils failed. This is a street that's in decline. We want to reverse that decline.
It's Christmas buying that dominates the shops and fills everybody's mind.
Once the jewel in the UK's retail sector, Oxford Street's popularity has waned. Online shopping and the pandemic haven't helped. Westminster Council, now controlled by Labour, says it will work with the Mayor. Traffic, though, won't be removed between Oxford Circus and Tottenham Court Road.
Look, this isn't where we would have started, but we've come a long way by being grown-ups, getting down, working with the GLA to come up with a solution that works for everyone. And, you know, there are still issues to iron out, but we've come a long way since September to make sure that local people's views are listened to and that the plan will be able to deliver for all of London whilst respecting the needs of our local residents.
Businesses would pay for the £150 million regeneration. The consultation is open until May the 2nd. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Lots more to come, including lighting up for Ramadan. We'll have a guide to how you can join in across the capital. Now just imagine not being able to fully hear your newborn's first cries, words or even laughter. That was the reality for Rebecca Wilmont, who lost most of her hearing during pregnancy. Well, she's now had a specialist procedure to restore it, involving the smallest bones in the human body. Our health correspondent Carl Mercer has the story. And just a warning, this report does start with Rebecca's surgery.
This is the horrible wet bits, yeah?
Rebecca is just about to have surgery to restore her hearing.
Oh, yeah, that's gross.
For Rebecca, it could mean hearing her 2-year-old son Harry properly for the first time. She lost large parts of her hearing during pregnancy.
I'll be able to hear him and hear his laughter, because that was what I didn't want to miss out on. You only hear it once.
Because you've already had the other ear done, you should be able to hear even better.
Under a local anaesthetic, surgeon Bhavesh Patel sets about the task.
So Rebecca, I'm just going to make a little cut in your ear canal. You can see my blade, which is just cutting your ear canal here.
Repairing the damage of Rebecca's condition, known as otosclerosis.
Spud knife, please. For some reason or another, we don't fully understand why, but in a certain set of these patients, certain lifestyle or environmental factors might trigger this bone to start turning over when it otherwise doesn't. And because this bone is not supposed to regrow or to change, when it does change, it changes in an abnormal and chaotic fashion.
Using a laser, he cuts out the body's smallest bone, the stapes. It's become fused to the ones next to it. That's why Rebecca's hearing has been damaged.
That's what the problem was, that this bone wasn't moving very well, which is why she couldn't hear.
The replacement goes in, and Bav, as he's known, leans in to test it's all worked.
I'm just going to whisper a number into your ear, OK? And I'd like you to say the number back to me. The number is 23. Well done. 23 is correct. I whispered 23, which is the number I always whisper to my patients.
Why?
Because it's LeBron James's shirt number.
Is that good? In the camera?
2 weeks after the operation, we catch up with Harry and Rebecca at home, where noise doesn't seem to be a problem.
It's loud. Yes, I can hear again, which is quite nice. Yeah. Go on then, off you go. It's just opened up the world again. It's not so worrying going out and not thinking I'm going to be able to hear a cashier or friends when you're walking along going for coffee or something. I can actually hear them having a conversation, so it's not as isolating, and I can just be a bit more relaxed when I'm out and about. I can hear somebody if they come up behind me or if they're in front of me, or just it's not quite as unnerving not being able to hear things.
Harry's louder. Everything's louder. Rebecca's now hearing everything very clearly. Her brain now readjusting now that her ears are working properly again.
Okay. Robot. The robot.
Some news in the last hour now, and 3 teenage girls, the youngest of them 14 years old, have been arrested over the death of a 75-year-old man in Holloway. The girls were arrested on suspicion of GBH, but police have now launched a murder investigation after the man, thought to be a Bolivian national, died in hospital. Now, it's one of the most common chronic health conditions. Allergies affects around 6% of the population, and it seems they're on the rise. 2 Londoners are on a mission to help those affected. They've come up with a kit designed to treat life-threatening allergic reactions in public. Well, last night they pitched it on Dragon's Den. Here's how it went down.
Guys, listen, I could pretend, but I love it.
I'm also not going to pretend.
Can't help it. I love it.
And Zach and James from Kit Medical join me now. Thanks very much for being here. Now, clearly a hit with Deborah Meaden. Did you have any idea of the reaction you were going to get?
Honestly, no. I think we prepared loads. We spoke to loads of other entrepreneurs that had been in the den, and generally we were ready for a good couple hours of grilling. And yeah, to get Deborah just sort of dive in and be super excited and keen for what we're doing was just amazing. It was like an instant sigh of relief for both of us. I think you see me and James's shoulders both just relax when she did that.
And what impact have these kits had so far? Because it's only been a few short years, isn't it?
Yeah, so actually when we went on the den, we'd already been in situations where we positively impacted 3 people's lives. Since then, there's been 7 more. So a total of 10 people have had kind of positive impacts. we had pens accessible to them because of these kits being in place, whether that's in schools or businesses with occupational health schemes.
It's amazing. So talk me through the kit and how it's meant to be used.
Of course. So essentially it's like your defibrillator, but for allergies. So you can imagine it wall mounted in the front reception or maybe the lunch hall. We have these keys, which we provide with every kit. There's always quite a few of them around. And generally speaking, to get inside, you just push that into the middle, turn it to the left, that comes out. And inside we provide a subscription of adrenaline pens. So 2 of each dose is a full set that caters for all ages. And then there's treatment instructions below, and these can be used to treat severe allergic reactions, whether that's someone ingesting nuts, whether that's a severe bee sting, or really anything that can cause a life-threatening reaction.
The aim is to get more of these in public places, but these are drugs at the end of the day. So how do you ensure that they're used safely?
Yeah, so the pens inside are prescription-only medication. We supply primarily schools. We're working with about 600 schools so far, but we're also working with businesses that have occupational health schemes in place, and in that way we can support lots and lots of people.
And we have an online system as well, so it tracks the expiry dates of the pens. People can report incidents, and we can replace any used pens in an emergency. And we have a full online training course that's now trained 15,000 people that we built with the leading charities and healthcare professionals in the UK.
And you've spoken of the challenges for allergy sufferers, often in day-to-day life. How do you hope things change?
I want to see one of these every single place I go. Our goal is to be every defibrillator's next door neighbour.
Well, Zach and James from Kit Medical speaking to me earlier, and I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more from them in future. Next, it's 50 years since a packed rush hour tube smashed into a dead-end tunnel at Moorgate Station, killing 43 people in what's considered the worst peacetime train tragedy in the UK. Well, for 6 days, more than 1,000 firefighters led emergency workers in the rescue and recovery operation, in which 74 people were also injured. Today, a memorial service was held on the anniversary. Anna O'Neill was there.
First came the walking survivors of the crowded train. Most were too shocked to even talk about it.
Saw the lady sitting opposite me, and the moment I saw her eyes, the lights went out, and the glass smashed, and the metal started crumbling, and everything happened in the space of time that you do. That was it.
Then, a 21-year-old student from Peru, Javier Gonzalez, survived a crash in which 43 other passengers died on the 28th of February 1975.
There was absolutely no time for anybody to react, to scream, just a fraction of a second that you just breathe in, that's it.
Today, a special service of remembrance 50 years on for survivors, bereaved and the fire crews first on the scene.
I was stationed at Clerkenwell Fire Station, where the emergency tender, the one that's here in the background, I was the driver. We got the shout just before 9 o'clock. We realised that it was 3 carriages, one as a 30, the other one as a W and the other one underneath, and they'd been crushed together.
I was stationed at Finchley Fire Station, and I was ordered on with my crew, and our task was to locate the driver. To get to the driver, of course, we had to go through the remains of all the other carriages, so it was a challenging experience for all of us, yeah.
Screenwriter Lawrence Marks was a rookie journalist reporting from the scene. What he didn't know was that his father was one of the victims.
Bernard Marks, Jeffrey Marsh.
I was sent down here just to find out what was going on, and it wasn't until later this afternoon, 50 years ago, that my stepmother phoned me and said, "I think your dad may have been on that train." It wasn't really until 9 o'clock the next morning, when I was in my council flat in Finsbury Park, when there was a knock on the door and a policeman was standing there and said, "We're very sorry to tell you that your father was removed from the second carriage this morning, and would you come down and identify his body?"
Just proud to say that I was a small part of the 1,000 firemen who attended that incident.
We're proud of you too, Frank. We're proud of you too.
Oh, I'm choked. I'm going.
Anna O'Neill, BBC London.
Still to come this evening. We'll be joined by pop icon Tony Hadley as he prepares to go on tour. Now, within the past hour, the Muslim holy month of Ramadan has officially begun, meaning that fasting starts from tomorrow. Now, you might be observing the fast yourself, and if not, you may have friends, family or neighbours who will be. One place it is being marked is in central London, where Ramadan lights have been switched on this week. Assad is there and can tell us more. Assad.
Alison, the lights are looking great here, and like you say, Ramadan started officially an hour ago at sunset. It means thousands upon thousands of people across London will be fasting tomorrow from 5 a.m. until sunset. It's just over 12 hours, and they'll be doing that for the next 29 to 30 consecutive days. And this is what you need to know about Ramadan. People do it because it's a time of reflection, it's a time of prayer, charity and community. It's about improving yourself, but also improving the lives of all those around you, regardless of religion, race or creed. There are about 1.3 million Muslims in Greater London alone. Out of them, there are certain people who are exempted from fasting. The elderly, for example, the young. Pregnant women don't have to fast, and nor do people who are ill or if fasting would damage their health. Over the next month, you'll hear certain words being said. Ramadan is obviously the name of the month itself. The word sahur, that is the time pre-dawn meal you have before the fast begins early in the morning. Iftar, which you'll hear a lot of, that's the meal that you have, the food and drink, when you break the fast. Let's speak now to Rahima Aziz from the Aziz Foundation, who sponsored these lights. It's starting to look more like Christmas every year. It's fantastic.
Thank you. I hope it looks more like Christmas every year. It's a festive time for everyone to enjoy.
The thing you've done this year as well is create an interactive map with a halal food and places where people can pray. Tell me about that.
Well, it's fantastic. The local businesses in the area have been so helpful in coordinating this with us. We've partnered with 6 restaurants in the local area, all providing freebies, discounts, special iftar money. And if you go on our website, you can also find a map. It's an interactive map, and you can see all the places that you need to pray in the area, so you can come in and really immerse yourself in the experience.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Selfridges on that list as a place to pray as well, which was great. The other thing is that the King and Queen were down the road a few days ago at Darjeeling Express, packing food for people who are in need. And it just tells me how exponentially the grown in recent years. What do you put that down to?
I think it's initiatives like this, and also, you know, there are so many Muslims in London now, as you said, and we're a young generation. I think we're so much more aware, we're so much more present on social media, and that's had a massive impact. But people coming down to see the lights, interacting with stuff like this, it makes all the difference.
Rahima, thanks very much. Ramadan Mubarak to you now. There's some open place, that's where you can go and have a free meal, make some friends, and not have religion rammed down your throat. I'll tell you that as well. There's one going on Sunday at Windsor Castle, would you believe? First time a royal residence has opened its doors to an iftar. At the Lord's Cricket Ground, that's next week. The Globe Theatre on the South Bank, and the big one is in Trafalgar Square on the March. Thousands of people going to that. The last iftar in Europe. To all our viewers, from me, Ramadan Mubarak, have a happy Ramadan. Back to you, Alison.
Assad Ahmed there, and apologies there for the signal. Well, turning now to an 80s pop icon. The name Tony Hadley may conjure up memories of ruffled shirts, big hair and hits like Gold. He sold 25 million albums with his band Spandau Ballet. Well, he's still doing what he loves and is now heading off on a solo tour where he'll be performing swing classics and some of his best-known tracks like this. Still sounding so good. And Tony, what some people might not know is that some of that was filmed in London, wasn't it?
Yeah, some of it was filmed in St John's Wood, a kind of this beautiful house that I remember with all these different. We're kind of conjuring up some sort of Arabian kind of, you know, beautiful place, but it was actually in St John's Wood. And yeah, icon, legend, that means I'm really old. When you get called a legend or an icon, that means, oh dear, I'm getting to that point, am I?
But that song as well, it's taken on a whole new meaning as the years have gone on. What do you make of that and its legacy?
Well, it's brilliant. I mean, it's a song that most people think went to #1. In fact, True was the one that went to #1. That got to #2. And I think at the time when it was the True album, we all thought, this is a good anthemic kind of song. My one regret, well, several, but my biggest regret is that we didn't perform it at Live Aid, which was, why didn't we do it? Because it's such a kind of, anthemic, kind of football kind of song, and loads of kids at uni adopt it and stuff. You can sing a lot. I mean, it's pretty gold, there you go. It's simple, but it's great.
You have been reworking some of those hits, like Gold, and you've been doing it with a big band. What's that process been like? Yeah, well, last February we did a wonderful swing tour. So this November, December, we're playing the Royal Albert Hall, I think 2nd of December as well, and Southend and all around the country. This is the big band tour with a few Christmas bits thrown in. So when you put, say, something like Gold with a big band, we've got a big brass section on stage. I mean, it's I mean, it sounds amazing. So we're doing all the swing classics, the Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Jack Jones, Ella Fitz, that kind of stuff. Plus the Gold, True, Barricades you've got to do, but it doesn't really work with the brass, so we'll just do it on piano and acoustic guitar. And then I really want to perform, there's an Elvis song, If I Can Dream, which is just amazing. The Impossible Dream, done by loads of artists, but the Jack Jones arrangement, who very sadly died in October last year. Amazing singer and a great arrangement. So this gives me a little bit more latitude by calling it the Big Band Tour. And does it feel like coming full circle, going back to Royal Albert Hall? Because that's where you met a legend, wasn't it?
I met a legend. And the funny thing is, when I met Frank Sinatra when I was 17, he said to me, "Son, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm at school, I'm in a band." I said, "I want to be a professional singer like yourself." And he said, "Oh, good on you, son, good luck, and nice to see some young people in the audience," which is exactly what I say to younger people when they come to my shows now.
I'm sure you're going to have lots. Tony, it's been an absolute pleasure, and tickets for your tour, I know, are on sale now, and I'm sure they'll be going very, very quickly. Thank you very much
Thanks
indeed.
for having me. Thank you. Cheers.
Now, everyone knows a nice cup of tea can make most things a bit better, and one man who knows more than most is Will Shears, who offers a cuppa to strangers across the capital as part of his mission to combat loneliness. Well, he's been hearing some really touching stories in return. Tim Muffet went to meet him.
A simple question.
Excuse me, I don't suppose you want a cup of tea? I don't suppose you want a cup of tea, do you? I don't suppose you want a cup of tea, do you?
An offer which is often declined.
I don't suppose you'd like a cup of tea, would you?
No.
I don't suppose you want a cup of tea, do you?
But when accepted, can lead to conversation.
Shall we sit over there? What's your name?
Friendship.
Reza, I'm Will. Nice to meet you, Reza.
And a lot of love on social media.
Black tea without milk. This is lovely.
One day I was in my flat and I thought I wanted to get out, I wanted to go and speak to people. Society's got more fragmented recently, and sometimes people need a reminder that they should go out and have a chat with a stranger. From a cup of tea, you can hear the most incredible life story imaginable. I don't suppose you want a cup of tea, do you?
In just a few weeks, Will's Mug of Life videos have been seen by millions.
And I make them a cup of tea and we just have a chat.
Have you been surprised by the reaction?
It's blown me away with what's happened. The comments and the messages that are coming through about saying how it's helped people in their day-to-day life has been incredibly humbling. Excuse me, I don't suppose you want a cup of tea, do you?
A cup of tea?
Brian was the very first person Will approached.
In return, having a little bit of a chat.
Yeah. A random encounter that led to a remarkable conversation.
Big city guy since I moved to San Francisco in the early 70s. We've made a good friend and fan in Robin Williams.
Brian was an actor and comedian. He appeared in the American TV show Mork and Mindy.
We're sure glad you're taking us in.
He also talks about the death of his former partner.
She had cancer. She died in March of 2013. So.
Were you guys in love?
Oh, yeah.
What spirit is the base for a Tom Collins cocktail?
Brian runs a pub quiz in North London.
I've gone through many crises over the years, and
just having someone around to talk to is great.
And she said, I really like the way you took care of her.
It's a big part of your life, you know.
So much more than a drink.
I prefer life now.
A cup of tea can lead to some remarkable conversations. Tim Muffet, BBC News.
Time now for a check on the weather, which appears to be perking up. Here's Darren.
Certainly does. I had a nice cup of tea sitting in the sunshine. It felt lovely, actually. So far, well, actually, meteorological winter has been really dull, so it was nice to get some sunshine on the last day of winter. The first couple of days of meteorological spring should see more sunshine, but we've got the risk of some cold nights and maybe a bit of fog around as well. But we had the sunshine today, just a little bit of fair weather cloud, as you can see here from Harrow on the Hill from our weather watcher. There's little or no cloud around at the moment, mind you, but with clear skies and light winds, temperatures are falling away quickly, so much so that we could see some fog developing. That's more likely to the east of London, and away from Greater London, temperatures could be as low as -2 or -3, so it'll be a cold start if you're up early in the morning. There'll be that fog around, but it shouldn't last too long. We'll get the sunshine breaking through that, and it's going to be a sunny day. Light winds once again, and temperatures tomorrow will be very similar to what we had today. Even though we had that frosty start, we'll see afternoon highs of around 9 or 10 Celsius. Very quiet weather at the moment, and that's because high pressure sitting right over the UK. There are some weather fronts that are moving into northern areas of the UK, but they're not going to be reaching us. That high is going to be staying put. We start with another frost probably on Sunday morning, but the threat of fog is much reduced. So it looks like it should be a dry day, a sunny day again, and the winds will be light. Those temperatures, again, probably getting up to 9 or 10 degrees, so not too much change over the weekend. But if we look further ahead, well, we're still going to have that area of high pressure. That's going to sit over southeastern parts of the UK for much of the week ahead, in actual fact. So it's good news if you're looking for dry weather and some sunshine, because that's what we've got for next week. And we're also going to find temperatures rising. It's going to turn milder, and it's not going to be as cold at night.
Heading in the right direction. Thanks, Darren. Well, that's about it from me, but you can head over to our website or social media where you can find more stories, including Sherlock, London's longest-serving fire dog, who is now retiring. Asad will be here later on with our 10:30 programme, but from all of us here, do have a very good evening. Goodbye.